to video one, my friends. In this video, we're going to talk about what the inner child actually is, how it shows up in your day-to-day life, and how it might still be struggling. So first off, the inner child is a very, very real part of you. It is something that comes up a lot in our talks about psychology and our talks about spirituality and energy healing. And so there's a beautiful crossover that happens when we're talking about the inner child and recognizing that it is a very essential part of who we are, even when we're adults. So our inner child is that part of us that holds our childlike nature, that innocence, that creativity, the open-heartedness that we need so much in the world right now, and really this sense of wonder about the world and about life, and even ourselves. So when we are connecting to this part of ourselves, we're connecting to a very significant part of who we are and how, when we are in tune with it, we can view the world with all of these qualities, which as an adult really helps us to show up and to enjoy our life, to find that balance between work and play, and to feel loved and supported and taken care of. So as children, if our needs were not met, what can happen is this part of ourselves can feel abandoned or misunderstood. It can feel unloved, maybe even not celebrated. And so essentially what happens is that part of us gets stuck in a specific period of time. And when that happens, we continue to grow. As these multifaceted beings that we really are, we have so many different aspects of ourselves. And so when our inner child gets stuck over here and it's unable to mature with the rest of us, what happens is that part of us gets stuck there. It gets stuck in the response of the 5-year-old whose parents got divorced, or the 3-year-old who didn't feel like their needs were met because they weren't taken care of. And that part of us, because it is part of the whole, then as an adult or further into your life, it will respond by having temper tantrums or sabotage, or it will even have these feelings or these beliefs that it can't quite seem to shake, that always seem to be playing out. So when we're looking at the inner child, we're looking at a sense of wholeness and beauty and wonder that we can really bring along as adults, that is always allowed to be celebrated for exactly what it is. And when it's in wholeness, it really does this in a very powerful way in our lives. So for example here, when we're talking about inner child wounds, consider that as a child, maybe your parents split and one parent had to leave. And as a child, you didn't really know how to understand that. And so you took it on as a sense of abandonment. Well, that part of you is still stuck feeling those feelings of abandonment. So as an adult, you move on with your life, you have new relationships that come, and you always have this lingering fear or feeling that people are going to leave. And that is because that inner child, that part of you that experienced that loss, is still not sure how to understand it, was not maybe supported in the way that it needed to be supported, or is still grieving that sense of loss. And so it is essentially stuck. Now, when the inner child has these experiences, it can also act out from a sense of self-sabotage. So we take the same example here of a parent leaving. As an adult, you go into new relationships and you might self-sabotage those relationships so that you create that same cycle of abandonment and loss. And that is because your inner child is recreating it because it's still trying to understand why it happened, what part it played, and how it can stop it. Now, you may also have the experience of, as you know, your inner child is kind of moving through that, you're afraid of loss. And instead of self-sabotaging, you might shut down all of your needs. And you might say, I will not be a burden to anybody. I will be so easy to get along with. I will take care of everybody. And in a sense, right, the inner child still feels like if I do everything right, then nobody will leave. And in both of these cases, what happens is the inner child is still not getting its need met. And so you will still have a sense of, being unfulfilled or not having something that you needed. And it will create these patterns over and over and over again in your adult life that constantly request for you to be present with them and to move through them. But if you don't recognize that it's actually the 5-year-old you that's acting out, you can't actually meet that need and handle it in the way that you need to break that pattern and to heal and to be able to move forward. So, there are many reasons why we can have inner child wounding. It can be that our parents didn't understand us. They maybe were not kind. Maybe they were, cruel, or there was hardships that we experienced. It could be that part of you that really longed to be acknowledged and celebrated was not seen. So we have many, many reasons for why we could have an inner child wounding. But I have not necessarily met somebody who doesn't have something there that can be, built upon or nurtured or embraced a little bit more fully. So as you look at your own story around the inner child, just look at what it is that your inner child might still need, whether it is words of affirmation, it is comfort, healing, it might just be taken care of, whether it's like physically taking care of yourself or emotionally or spiritually. Because when we're able to give the inner child what they need, they're able to join us, right? All the parts of ourselves are able to join us in the present moment and show up in alignment and in a way that actually helps us live a life that is fulfilling and meaningful and really comes from a place of wholeness within ourselves. So as you're looking at your own story and connection to the inner child, what I would ask for you to start with is just taking a moment to tune into the inner child and just notice how they feel in this present moment. If you just close your eyes and take a moment and say, okay, if I connect to that part of myself, how are they experiencing this moment right now? They might give you a feeling, a thought, they might give you a certain image that comes through, and just taking stock of what that looks like and how that feels so that you can get on board with what might be needed and how you can support them further. So with that, my friends, take that moment, connect to that part of yourself, and I will see you in the next video.